Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Ask the Amigos for September. We have amassed all of your Discord questions, and we will answer them thusly. First up, Kate Fox asks, what computers did you two use in school? Oh, and what
None.
grade were you in when you first saw one at school, and what did you use it for?
All right, I'll start the show on this one.
Okay.
No computers until I was in the sixth grade. That's the first time I ever saw one, and that was an Atari, or excuse me, a Tandy model. It was a one or a three. I get because they sort of look the same, you know. That was the first computer I ever saw, like at school, and then eventually I saw some Atari 800s that came in. I think they were 800s both.
Yeah, they were
and or
800s.
make
They were
and
still
then
there when I was there.
and then eventually when I got to high school, they had picked up enough computers for a computer class, and those were the old PS. What were those? The old IBM, was it PS1s or something like
PS2,
that? You know, the
yeah.
ones PS2s. And so that was what we had. And so eventually, when I got and by the way, keep in mind I learned how to type on typewriters. So that's how old I am. So that eventually we got those computers in there. That was pretty much the extent of it. What about you?
We didn't have computers until I was in fifth grade, so I was
Yeah,
almost the same as you. And those
that's stunning.
computers were the IBM PS2s, probably the same group that came in with yours.
Yeah.
We had one computer in the back of our room, and we never used it. I had a PC at home, so I was the wonder of the classroom because I could operate DOS commands and load games and stuff, and so people thought
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I got to middle school, I took a step back in time because we had a lab full of Atari 800s.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, I was the wizard of the day because I had an Atari at home and I brought in tons of games and we played tons of games in those classes. So,
That was a room full of those things, wasn't it? There
yeah,
was quite a few in there. Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that.
And then when I got to high school, those same IBM computers from when you were there were still there. But I
Yeah,
didn't take any computer classes in high school, so I very rarely used those.
I effectively taught class. You could ask Hose. He was in there. One day the teacher just turned over the reins to me, and I went up and taught the class. And he got so mad because I actually knew what I was talking about that I never got to do that again. He was, of course, this guy ended up getting fired for gross negligence. So there
Mm.
you go.
I will say that computers were not a part of the curriculum at all, like when I was in school. Any part of my public school experience, we had a computer class as part of like eighth grade shop. That was when I used the
Yeah,
Ataris. But other than
yeah.
that, there was no required computer class or
No,
anything. So I never used computers at school. And
yeah.
I mean, this was still a time when most people were handing in papers that were handwritten. And so,
Not a big deal in West Virginia
no,
to this day.
no.
Yeah.
Um, Dave Velociraptor asks, I'm 45. Am I more or less between your two ages? Yes, you are more or
Yes.
less between our two ages. Chris Folds asks, what's your favorite dessert? You've talked about this before. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
It's Mississippi
Mississippi
mud.
mud. I remember the answer to that one. That's good eating, Bode.
For me, it's probably brownies. I like brownies.
I like fudgies. I've told you about those. A
Yeah,
half brownie, half fudge from Mr. Donut. Those are also at the top of my list.
that sounds
Great.
pretty good to me.
Yeah, they're
You know, I
amazing.
like all the cheap crap too. Like, give me a Swiss cake roll any day. I'll eat like six right now.
Don't even get me started. Little Debbie's a close
Fudge
personal friend of
rounds,
mine. Oh yeah.
oatmeal
Oh
cream
yeah.
pies, the doubles. I'm in.
Wonder why I'm a big fat guy. You're killing me right now.
Chris Folds also asks, he says, I saw Oasis in a pub before they got signed, and me and my friends agreed no one would ever hear about them again. Can you name some occasions where you have been way off the mark? So this is not about bands. It's just, when have you been really wrong about something that took off?
Well, I can't say that. I don't think I've ever been wrong about somebody that took off. I will say, well, that's not true. I mean, I've got two things. My buddy played a Guns N' Roses, the Appetite for Destruction album for me. It was forever before anybody knew who they were,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "This is no good. This is too hard.
Mm-hmm.
This is Aaron of that era." And then Welcome to the Jungle came out, and they became a mega star. So it was, but this is way before that. That happened a bunch of times. People recommended stuff to me, and then I thought it was crap, and they got over. But when it comes to someone who was not what I thought they would be, and I'm sure I've mentioned this, but I saw Blue Oyster Cult in a little bar in Lexington, and they walked out on stage, and it looked like someone had raided the old folks' home of hippies, and they kind of dumped them on the stage. I was like, man, these guys are going to suck. And then they were the best thing I ever saw. So I will say, Blue Oyster Cult, they went from looking like garbage. Well, they still looked like garbage. They played like angels. They were awesome. So I'll say that.
Okay. Well, you've never remember, this is not about bands. This is not, the question isn't about bands. It's about what is something that came out that you thought would be a huge dud. It can be technology, it can be anything, I got it. And it took off.
iPad. I thought this was I still think it's no good. I thought the iPad was I thought this is garbage. No one's buying this. It's been tried, and it didn't do well. I was like, this is not going to work. And then, boy, I sure looked like a jerk over that one because it got over like gangbusters.
I can't believe you answered that, because Pixels also put that in the chat just now, and that is also my answer. I thought the iPad was going to be the biggest flop in Apple's history. Yeah. I was like, nobody's going to want to use a huge phone. They've already got a phone. They don't need a big thing that can't fit in their pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was wrong.
Still don't know how it got over. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Because and the thing is, it's not even original. It's not like Apple, hey, listen, no one could badmouth the iPod. That thing was a piece of work. Okay. But and of course that had a big play on the iPad because they had sold so many of those and people were like into the Apple. They were into Apple at that point. And it's not to say that the iPad is ugly or is not functional. It'd been done, and it wasn't. No one cared. No one cared about that crap. I to this day, I'm baffled at the success of those. Not just the iPad, but all those things, the tablets. But man, they got over, like gangbusters. So yeah, that's funny, but we actually agree on that with Folds.
Now, Frodo asks, "What's your favorite desert?"
I'm going to say, you answer that one first, Boat.
I'm going to go with the Gobi.
I got to think about that. My favorite desert. Let's go with the. It's too tough. It's tough. I'm going to go with what's the desert out there in California?
The Mojave. Yep, Mojave Desert.
Let's go with Mojave.
That's a good choice.
Like to say the word Mojave. Yeah.
Paul asks, "What's your favorite breakfast?"
I like pancakes from Cracker Barrel. They have to be from there. I like that with some sausage links, and maybe a big glass of milk. That's good. That's good eating. Yeah,
breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. I love breakfast food. I really like the full-on Irish breakfast. Both years I went to Amiga Ireland, had it. Yeah. It's your basic American breakfast, but you also get that
whiskey.
But you get that blood sausage. You gotta eat a ton of that blood sausage, and there's a fried tomato they put on it, and so. I didn't think you'd be a fan, but I like that. That was good eating. Actually, also in Ireland, I ate Eggs Benedict for the first time in my life. That's also not a food I don't think you would like very much. But I thought it was great on toast.
I thought you were going to say Biscuit World. Since that seems to be, you think
I love Tudors too. Awesome. Yeah, I love Tudors too. I would eat Tudors all the time, but I would weigh 600 pounds because it's pure lard in their biscuits.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let's see. Chris, he's just being funny. Pixels at Dawn asks, "What's your favorite type of natural setting?" And he gives you some examples. Could it be a forest, a cave, a lake, beach, etc.?
Well, I do like a beach. There's no doubt about that. But here's what I like. When we were coming back from the Charleston, South Carolina, we got detoured off the interstate. And we went to this place called Pleasant Valley. All right, it's aptly named, and it was a dip into the mountains, so you could see all the mountains everywhere. But it was a valley. It was like tucked away down there. There'd be the long grass flowing. It was sunny, and it was kind of a breeze. I like that kind of atmosphere where you're in like a valley with like that fields in a valley. I could dig that too. I'm really down with that because I like to look up at the mountains and stuff around you, but you get that sort of like protected feeling.
Sure, so I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
My favorite is I can tell you my least favorite. My least favorite is whatever we've got around here. Like owning a house in the woods in West Virginia is not my favorite. I don't like our normal sort of forestry, and I think it's just because I've grown up and it's just been all around all the time. Like my brother, or I'm sorry, my sister and her husband, they want to buy like a house out in like Greenbrier County or something like that. Never
Yeah.
for me.
It's awful beautiful, bud. I mean, I love it around here. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's not for me. Although I do like all the natural things that the woods protect you from, like serial killers
I
and
think
stuff
you
like
just
that.
don't like it because all those trees fell over and you had to go deal with them.
That's true.
And about the fifth or sixth one, you were like, "Screw this. Where's the
Um,
desert at?"
I like mountains that are huge. Like when I was in Japan, I remember seeing like looking across a field with like rice paddies and stuff, and then you see like the huge mountains rise up with like the snow on top and stuff like that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I would probably go with that. I also like. I actually don't mind like being in a city either. Like with cities, there's always stuff to look at. It depends on where you are in the city, and what city you're in. But I don't mind a good cityscape. I'm not a huge beach person. Like I like the beach for about a day a year, and then past that, I feel like I've had my fill of the beach.
It's the sand that hoses you.
Yeah,
That stuff gets old.
yeah. Having to like hose yourself off all the time and stuff like that. But overall, I think I just like variety. Give me a different place. I'd love to be rich enough where I could own different homes all over the place and spend like a week at a time at each one in a different environment. I think that would be cool.
Keep trying, man. You're getting there.
I'm getting there.
You'll be like Ted DiBiase, making his summer residence in Hurricane, West Virginia. That shtick.
Paul asks, do you think there might be life outside our planet?
I'm not sure there's life on this planet.
Boom,
Sometimes.
chick.
Bam. Yes, I would say statistically, it's probably yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that I would be very surprised if there was not life off the planet.
Would you be surprised if someone were to say life from other planets has visited Earth?
That's a great question. I think statistically the chances of that are very low.
What do you think, though?
I
read that COVID has caused UFO sightings to go up like 40%.
I'd like to hope so. Like I'd like to think that like some of that stuff is true. Like when you see lights up in the sky, maybe it's people that are like looking at us and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like a first contact moment though would be like it would trigger all sorts of like horrible behavior. It definitely wouldn't be like Star Trek. It would be like we'd have like wars and crap, and that wouldn't be good. So
yeah.
Paul also asks, he says, and this is more of a question for you because you're a parent. What's your views on limiting children's game times? Or I guess, or anyone for that matter.
It's definitely something you should consider. Listen, I'm ham and egg in this fatherhood. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, I'm not gonna lie. I'm doing the best I can, and I don't limit his video game play that much. And he plays games and watches videos all the time. If there's an idle, or right now he's in there watching videos and playing games probably at the same time. Now I think back to what I did when I was a kid, because I don't remember my mom and dad coming in and saying, turn off that record player or stop watching Battlestar Galactica. But it's a big difference because the stuff we could do full time wasn't that much fun when I was a kid. I mean, if I'd had a handheld gimmick that had all these awesome games, I'd be probably the same way. I don't think I turned out all that bad. But much like you said with your phone answer from earlier, too much of that stuff, it does bother me. So yes, you should limit it. I do try to limit it, especially during school. But the COVID's made it a lot tougher. I try to get him out of the house more and get more activities going, but again, it's limited. So it's just tough. It's tough. So yeah, I guess my answer is yes, there should be a limitation, but I don't know what it is, how to implement it, or how to enforce it. How's that?
Simulant asks, what's your favorite Rocky film?
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay. My favorite Rocky film is Rocky 4. No, that's a lie. No, Rocky 1 is the 3. Best.
Rocky 3 is the
Rocky
best.
3? Okay.
Yeah, because you had Mr. T, You had Hulk Hogan,
That's
and
true.
that
The Hulk Hogan scene is
Thunderlips is
great.
here, baby,
Yeah.
in the flesh, and that great scene where Hulk presses Rocky over the top rope, and then Rocky does the same thing to Hulk, which is ludicrous. But you've got Mr. T in there being awesome,
Yeah.
you know, awesome. I just love that movie. Of all the Rockies, that's by far my favorite. Nothing's even comes close to that one.
Um, let's see. Mitsuyama asks, "What's the worst thing about the retro gaming hobby or scene?" I'll answer this one because I've got an answer queued up in my mind. It's the people that don't let you enjoy what you enjoy. It's the people that say, "Hey, I really like playing this game," and they're like, "Oh, you're garbage because you're not using an RGB monitor. Oh, you're garbage because you're not using authentic hardware. Oh, you're garbage because you're not using a CRT." It's those people that ruin. They take what people enjoy and they try and twist it so they're not having as much fun because they haven't spent as much money or had the same experience that they had.
I understand where you're coming from on that, but I just don't. I just ignore them, and so there's
I
that
can't ignore
when I
them.
can. On the flip side, what do I hate the most? I sort of touched on this a couple weeks ago, and a little insert this too. I think that the hobby how about I think the enthusiast side of retro gaming is being overwhelmed by the uh, collection side of retro gaming, which is there's a I'm not saying there's not a happy medium, but I mean someone somewhere decided, hey, we can make a boatload of cash on this thing. And again, we talked about this earlier. I don't have a problem with that, but to me, it's sort of they're sort of sucking the fun away from this to a certain degree. I sometimes look at this stuff and wonder, uh, uh, I wonder what's going on. I get mad with stuff like the Turrican thing, and like I said, more power to them if they can make the money. But I can't get in the head of the people that are participating in it. I don't understand what's going on. Another thing that boggles my mind. It's not that doesn't boggle my mind. It's just something I can't do anything about. Is that the stuff that I thought was interesting in the retro gaming era is being surpassed by newer retro gaming things. Like no one gives a crap about the Atari 2600 anymore. Everyone loves the N64,
Nobody
for
wants to play
example.
the Atari 2600. Just ask Neil.
Yeah, he buried it. I was watching that, and it's that's hard to cope with, and that's something that everyone's been coping with since the retro thing started. The stuff that you consider retro, like I was talking to, I think it was Folds earlier, and he's telling me about to put the PS2 on the wheel, which and I don't have a problem with that.
No.
But he's like, you're gonna get a lot of blowback. We did the Xbox on the wheel too. I don't
Well, that was
care. I don't care
horrible.
about that. Oh, now, hey, it's your opinion. But
Um,
like the PS2 is richer for some people. For some people, it's blasphemy to think that the
right.
PS2 is there.
You're right. You're
So
right.
there you go.
It's a
There's
funny
a big
thing.
wad of an answer. Yeah.
Um, let's see. L. Curtis Boyle asks, "I know that you have both tried programming and it isn't really your thing, but have either or both of you thought of helping design a game along with a programmer?"
I have dabbled back when I was younger. We talked about that a while back. I could not do anything to help anyone. I could maybe come up with a concept for a game, but I'll be honest with you, I never really thought about it. The guys over. You ever listen to Retro Gaming Roundup? Right? They had a dude design a Retro Gaming Roundup video game with them in it. Right? This is before SoCal Mike left, and so they were all buddies still. And I thought to myself, I wondered if they had a say in what the game was. The Angry Video Game Nerds got a game. I wondered if he had a say in how that was like a Punch Out clone. If someone said, Aaron, we want you to help design this game, not necessarily about me, but just in general, I don't know what I would. I don't know. I've never thought about it, so I'd say no. I've never thought about it, and I don't think I'd successfully give any ideas. What about you?
I don't think I'd be very good at coming up with an original design for a game, but I think that I'd be okay at identifying things that could improve an existing game. One of the things that I enjoy about the show is that we very rarely play a perfect game, but there's always one or two things that I think with a tweak could really take it over the top. And so
Yeah.
whatever that role is in the game development process, I feel like I could do.
I think I'm going to give you credit there. If someone rolled a concept past me, I think that I could actually lend a hand on. Yes, because or it said, listen, here's what the game's going to look like. I could be like, hey, you're taking up 1/3 of the screen with the scoreboard, or hey, your mascot is a brick with 2 eyeballs. Wrong. Or like you're putting stickers in the box. We're 40. How about that? So yeah, we would be the crotchety old jerks that complain about the concept until they change it.
Yeah, yeah. Frodo NL asks, which character from Harry Potter do you identify with the most?
The fat bearded guy, Robbie Coltrane,
Hagrid.
I think played him. Yeah, I don't know anything about Harry Potter because I never watched any of that crap, but I like the fact that I like that guy. Plus, he's a big, weird, bearded freak, so I would go with that guy.
Hagrid's pretty good. Hagrid's pretty
Okay.
good. I'd probably go with Neville Longbottom. I'll just leave it at that.
Enough said.
Simulan asks, what is your favorite ever baddie guy in an Amiga game?
My favorite bad guy in an Amiga game. Gosh, I gotta think back here for a minute. What you got? Anything that comes off the top of your head?
No. There's nothing is really sticking out for me as far
It's
as
funny.
like
The first thing that popped into my head was the Germans, because we've played a lot of games with the Germans.
you're down on the Germans today, man.
No, I love the Germans. But I'm just saying, Rocket Ranger and Wings. They were the Germans were the bad guys. Those are two things that popped into my head. And also the Escape from Colditz, which that's what we did. They got hosed. They're paying, but those came to mind. I can't really think of a real strong like bad guy in one of the games.
It's funny. One of the things that I think sets Japanese developed games apart from both American and European developed games is that there always seems to be, at least in the major franchises, the bad guy is almost as big of a star as the hero character. So, for example, like who's the last guy in James Pond? Nobody knows, But like Sonic and Mario, it's like Bowser and Eggman, or his whatever his name is. I'm sure there are memorable bad guys in Amiga games, like final bosses, but I never get to them, so I never know who they are. I guess that weird looking jacked up crab thing at the end of the first level, Hybris. That's the one that sort of shimmies along.
I'm gonna. You remember when we did? Someone converted Karateka over to the Amiga. Way back, and we played it.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that there's a bad guy in that has a bird on his shoulder, and I believe he backhands the guy's girlfriend. I always thought he was sort of a jerk.
There's also the bad guy in Prince of Persia too.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah,
they could be the same guy.
What about your favorite hero, Aaron?
Lionheart, of course.
Of course.
That's a stupid question. He's the best.
Dave Velociraptor asks, what's your favorite lion-based Amiga game?
The Lion King.
I'm going to go with Brian the Lion.
It's Lionheart, of course. Double answer.
Chris Folds asks, what achievement are you proud of but most people would consider silly or weird?
Oh, man. God, so many of those. Because I do a lot of stupid crap. I'll be honest with you. I would go back when I put together my El Hijo de El Generico outfit. I was so proud of that outfit. I remember I was talking just the other day. I was spray painting those underwear in sub-zero temperatures on the front porch at Mud Mountain, spray painting them gold, and I was using the wine holders for my gauntlets. To pull up my. I was so proud of that cheap, ugly, stupid-looking outfit with the cape made out of a curtain. I love that thing. So yeah. I would say that would be right at the top of the list. My luchador outfit from 20 years ago or 10 years ago. What about you?
Probably like whenever I'm standing in front of the band and it's at a concert or something, and I know that like the band doesn't sound awesome to your average layman because it's a middle school band, but I just think about all of what we've come through from the time that they first picked up their instrument, and they didn't know anything. Like, that never gets old. Like, I've been doing this. This is my 8th year. And I still feel so proud that, I had a hand in taking them from knowing nothing to knowing something about something.
Oh yeah, but I mean that's not an accomplishment where everyone's gonna think you're goofy. I mean, that's a proper feeling you're getting there. I think Frodo summed yours up. That power supply in the box that was boat.
Oh,
So
yeah.
maybe that is his
I
biggest
am pretty proud of
accomplishment.
that, though. I drilled
Yeah,
those holes in there with a power drill.
yeah. I've still got it. It's sitting over here right now.
Simulan asks, what do you guys think of Amstrad's Mega PC? Imagine a world where you're writing a Word document and then you slot a Mega Drive game in and play Streets of Rage. So have you seen this
Oh
thing?
yeah. I think Neil had a look at this thing, didn't he? I like the fact that Sega licensed out their hardware to appear in these weird things. So I dig that. I would love to have one of those, frankly, but they're rare. So yeah, but that's cool. Those are real cool.
I
I'm down
agree.
with it.
I would like to see every PC have a cartridge slot in it. Just there, just in case.
It's amazing that they didn't. In my mind, I mean, a lot of them did, but a lot of them didn't. It's surprising.
Mm-hmm.
The Amiga needed a good cartridge slot in it. That would have been awesome. Yeah.
Flack asks, if the collection of Amigos retro gaming podcasts are the Avengers, which superhero best represents each show and or host?
Well, so we're the Avengers.
Yeah, so there's us, there's you and Brent, there's the Pixelgating guys, and there's Flack.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't know anything about the Avengers, and I've never seen any of the movies because I find them insufferable, so you're going to have to take this one.
Oh, man. Well, Bo, you would probably have to be like Captain America.
Oh, man, thank you.
You're a very wholesome young go-getter.
Wow.
Just like Cap.
That's high
you
praise.
You also abhor violence, and you don't cuss. That's the same with That's a Captain America. He's the same way. But there's a little bit of Iron Man in there, too, but you're mostly Captain America. I would say Brent would be probably like the Hulk, just a big lumbering idiot there's more trouble than he's worth. But this Hulk has no Bruce Banner. He's just a lumbering idiot. I would say that the Pixel Gaiden guys would be. Let me see here. Those are two Californians who. So I would say Cody would be. I think Eric is sort of like Ant-Man, and Cody's sort of like Black Widow. So you got those two right there.
Isn't Black Widow a girl?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
And then I would say that I would be, boy, who would I be? I would say Hawkeye, but more like the Hawkeye in the comics, the sort of argumentative, like jerk of the group that Roy has no superpower. I just kind of can have one thing I can do, and that's pretty much it. So I would say that would be me. So I think that's
you forgot Flack.
Everybody out. Oh, Flack. Well, Flack is definitely Iron Man. There's no doubt about that. He's doing great out there. He's a smooth customer, just like he's a good talker, just like Tony Stark. So not too bad. So there you go.
All right, Avengers assemble. Right.
You got it, man.
Okay. Lord Soup asks, the ARG group of awesome shows and is expanding and absorbing like Tetsuo at the end of Akira. Who's
Creepy.
next?
It's creepy. That's a creepy film, by the way. Who are you going to absorb? And that's a good question. Like an amoeba, we're just kind of sucking people in. Who's next on your hit list, Boat?
I don't know. I don't feel like.
How about Leo Laporte? Can you get him?
Yeah, I'm going to try and get Leo. I thought about getting Joe Rogan, but he's a little bit too Bush League for our network.
Who's got the biggest, most powerful Amstrad podcast?
I think there's a Spanish guy that's got an Amstrad podcast.
So what you're saying is there's no Englishmen that are taking on the Amstrad?
I think the only one is
format?
I think it's just a Spanish guy. Maybe he speaks English.
There's your answer.
All right.
Make it happen, somebody. Make it happen. I'm saying we got the Commodore, we've got sort of the indie scene, sort of newish, sort of oldish guys at Pixel Gaiden. I don't know what we do. Whatever we do our thing. And an ARG covers all the weirdo stuff. So now but the Amstrad sorely underutilized, underappreciated boat. So I'd like to see an Amstrad guy.
Simulan asks, which Simpsons character are you most like, and which would you be if you could choose?
I'm most like comic book guy because I'm a big fan. I used to have the ponytail and everything. I got hassled a lot by that. But I would say I have more in common with Homer than I do anything else. What about you?
Oh, I'm definitely Milhouse, 100%. 100%.
No comment. I'm not saying nothing.
Which would I be if I could choose? I don't know. Probably Flanders.
I'd be Disco Stew.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
That's a good choice. Bundy asks, what car did you have that your nickname was derived from? My nickname was not derived from a car. It was derived from a They Might Be Giants song called Boat of Car. I've never owned a large car, and I hope to never own one. Frodo NL asks, what's your favorite modern PC game?
We're playing a game right now called Cross Cut. I think is what it's called. It's a free-to-play car fight game.
Like Carmageddon?
One of these deals. It's like Carmageddon, but it's set in a different type of future. And also, you're not going out there to run over pedestrians. This is more like Interstate 76. It's sort of like with a little bit of Mad Max thrown in.
Interstate 76. What's that?
You never heard of that one?
It's like a gas station, the big orange sign.
It's a car game from back in the early 90s, the mid 90s, where it took place in like this disco-y 70s where the gas shortage never ended, and it was a car combat game. It was real cool. This is sort of like that, but it's modernized and it's cool. I get on there with my buddies. It's a lot of fun. There's missions you run with your cars. You get to make your cars, and the cars can be like, think about taking two buses and smash them together and then put like a satellite dish on top and put like spikes all over it. These weird, bizarre creations. You can make anything. There's guys that make cars out of like old airplane parts and stuff. And so you get all these crazy looking vehicles. So I'm digging that right now. I love that. I'm playing a lot of that.
I'm playing a lot of Persona 4 Golden, which is not a PC native game, but it just got a PC port, and I love it. I also started playing Yakuza 0, and I'm enjoying that a lot more than I thought I would, but because you can turn off all the blood and the gore, because I couldn't handle it otherwise.
So you're a friendly, happy-go-lucky, non-violent Yakuza member.
Exactly.
Sounds realistic to me.
I beat the crap out of people, and they never show and there's no battle damage. All right. Pixels at Dawn asks, what's your favorite science fiction story?
Gosh. Why don't you're super well read. Let me think of which one I like the most.
My favorite science fiction story is a book called A Canticle for Leibowitz. And it is a post-apocalyptic story about this monastery where these guys preserve a blueprint of a circuit board for like thousands of years, to the point where they no longer remember what it is. They just remember it's important. And the book takes place over 3 like generations of monks in this monastery. And it's from the 60s, so there's a strong like nuclear weapons bent to it, but it's excellent. A Canticle for Leibowitz.
Okay.
Oh, Rob, you've read it? That's insane. I thought I was the only person on earth that's read that book. I'm glad you've read it.
I'm going to go, and this is off the top of my head. I read this sort of a novella, I guess, called The Day of the Triffids. You ever heard of this?
No.
It was under a different name when I read it, but that's the big and more popular name. It's got by a guy named John Wyndham, and it was just one of these books. I'll tell you how I found this thing. If you want the gory details, I was looking for something to read to Can, and I had this book, this assemblage of like classic science fiction that I picked up for like $1 at Goodwill. And this was like one of the first stories in it. I read it. It was great. It's another post-apocalyptic sort of a gimmick where there's aliens involved. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I'll recommend it to anyone that likes that sort of thing. Good stuff.
Frodo also has read A Canticle for Leibowitz. So fantastic. Awesome.
He's read mine too.
Yeah. Frodo's a big reader.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what's funny about Frodo? Even though he's a Nederlander, Dutch guy, he says that like 98% of his books are in English, and then the other 2% are some like regional dialect that's not Dutch. It's some sort of weird language that he might have invented. That's what he said. Okay. Chris Folds asks, MacGyver once broke a lock by melting some ice with a light bulb, dripping the water into a lock and waiting for it to freeze again. Based on that logic, if you had a candle, some duct tape, and a broken Amiga, how would you reheat some pizza? I'm going to just read the question part again. If you had a candle, some duct tape, and a broken Amiga, how would you reheat some pizza?
Here's what I would do. Okay, and I know this from fact from just working on one. The Amiga has a big metal shield on the top of it. All right, you can
Mm-hmm.
take this thing off. What you do is you take this thing off, you duct tape it to the side of the wall, and you put the candle under it, and then you put the pizza on top of the panel, and the candle will heat up that entire panel, and then thusly reheating your pizza.
You know, I could have thought about that for 2 hours and not come up with a better answer. So I go with that. And our final question of this month's Ask the Amigos comes from Paul, aka Hermsky, and he asks, if you were a Top Gun pilot, what would your handle be?
Um, hmm. What do you got? You got anything on tap in the brain?
Asinine. That was my nickname in college, so I'd go with that.
It was?
Yeah.
Who
Like, you know how
nicknamed
you and
that?
Hose constantly call each other Hose all the time?
People keep saying that, but I don't know about that.
Well, me and my buddy Greg, we constantly would call each other Asinine. So,
Wow.
Asinine.
I think I would just go with my devil bunny. I want. Hey, listen, it got keep it with me. So I'd be the devil bunny. Let them ponder what that means on the side of my plane as I'm gunning them down.
All right, and that's going to end this month's edition of Ask the Amigos. We thank all of our fine Discord participants for setting up these questions. And if you too would like to submit a question to us, all it takes is $1 a month to join up on Patreon or PayPal. And you can join the fun on our Discord. We will see you next week or next month. But by the time you hear this, maybe it will be next week for another edition of Ask the Amigos for October. Boy, October. The year's flying by. We'll see you guys next time.